Edit. Stop my video. Open part. More options. Open chat. More options. React. More options. Share. Share up. Post tool. Open AI apps. Button.
Good evening, everyone. Allow me to welcome to our presentation this evening entitled What's New in JAWS 2026. I'm Brandon Heinrich. It's a great pleasure to have all of you here. Chris, ignore the live stream just for the moment. I am welcoming you all to the presentation this evening. I'd like to just give you all a couple of housekeeping tools, a couple of housekeeping tips. If you could please remain muted for the entirety of the presentation until questions at the end of the presentation, that would be very much appreciated. We will answer all questions at the end of the event. We have a lot to get to this evening, and we're hoping to do so in a timely manner. If you would like to raise your hand to ask questions, if you are a computer user and you're a user of the JAWS screen reader, which is why you're here, most of you, to raise and lower your hand is Alt-Y. To mute and unmute is Alt-A, just a couple of little shortcuts. If you're on the phone, *9 and *9 will raise and lower your hand respectively. *6 will mute and unmute. If you're using your iPhone or smartphone to do this, you can raise your hand and lower your hand on the reactions button. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce our certified assistive technology instructor for the evening, Chris Murphy, who is going to provide us with our event. So take it away, Chris.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you, Brandon, for that introduction. One other thing that I want to point out is you probably have seen a pop-up on your screen that asks for permission for you to unmute yourself, that the host or the co-host can unmute yourself. That means if you're having some problems and you're unable to unmute, one of us can definitely take care of that. If you're struggling to do that, we can definitely make sure to do that. So if you have seen that dialog box pop up or that screen pop up for the first time, that's because this is a feature that was enabled in meetings coming up that I'm running. So it just helps a little bit in terms of making sure that if anyone's having a difficulty unmuting, that they can get a little bit of assistance with that. So as Brandon mentioned, I am an assistive technology instructor, and my name is Chris Murphy. I am certified in JAWS as of 2025, although I have to actually renew my certification because we're here today to talk about the latest version of JAWS, which, before I get into anything else, I want to provide a bit of a backstory of what the acronym is. So JAWS, for those that don't know, is Job Access with Speech. Some people have called it Job Access with Sound or some other form of the acronym, but it is Job Access with Speech for those of you that are maybe new JAWS users. Each and every single year, Freedom Scientific comes out with a new version. And we're here to talk about some of the new features that this version has. If you have not downloaded the update and installed it, you probably have gotten a prompt. If you are eligible for the upgrades, if you have not renewed your license, if you're an annual license holder, or if you're a software maintenance agreement holder and you've not renewed your license and have no upgrades remaining, then you won't be able to get it. But if you do have the newest version, which is JAWS 2026, you will be able to follow along with exactly what I'm doing and what I'm talking about during the presentation. This particular update to JAWS introduced some new features, and we'll get into those in a second. But the first thing that I want to do and talk about before really getting into the meat of this update is what you probably noticed when you installed JAWS for the first time. And this is unlike any other version. When you install JAWS for the first time and you've downloaded the update either off the website or you've done it automatically, or if you're still receiving any of the DVDs, you probably noticed something new. And that new thing is something that Freedom Scientific actually introduced in this particular version, and it's called user accounts. This is supposed to actually give you two different options. The first thing that it's supposed to do is it's supposed to put all of your products' information in one place.
Sharon Freeman.
Join the meeting.
If you have an annual license, it would actually display that annual license information in that account. So if you already have a portal account, you don't have to worry about it. But if you don't, when you install JAWS for the first time, it gives you an hour before you can do anything else with JAWS. You actually have to create a user account to sign in. And I'm addressing this first because this is the most important thing that pops up every time someone installs the new version of JAWS. So the first time you install JAWS and you go through all of the installation and setup options, you'll see a prompt that says create a new user account. If you have a portal account, if you have an annual license, a home license, you can log in with those credentials. If you don't, then you actually have to create a user account from scratch, and they'll guide you through the steps to do that. The other thing that they have promoted, and it's not currently in this latest update yet, is this is actually going to help out a little bit with some of the AI that Freedom Scientific is looking to introduce. As future updates come out, they're going to be introducing some AI features, one of which we'll talk about in a minute or two. But that will also help with some of the new features that they want. And also, what it's supposed to do is it's supposed to actually make it easier for you to have all of your settings in one place. So if you have specific speech settings, braille display settings, things of that nature, it eventually, I think, will actually get brought into that account. Keep in mind, though, that one of the first things you are going to have to verify when you create your account is your birthday. I think you actually have to be 13 in order to create an account, so it will not let you do it if you are not that age, and that's the first thing that they want to know is how old you are. So if you are old enough to create a user account, you'll be able to do it. I think you can actually do it on behalf of someone else, I believe, if permission is granted. There's some things that I don't quite understand yet about the whole user account experience, but that is something that you will have to do each time, the first time you install JAWS. So if you have more than one computer, you will actually have to install JAWS on. You will have to sign into that account. So once you create it, you don't have to worry about it. But keep in mind, and this is one of the things that I figured out the hard way when I was working with someone in California remotely into their computer, because it did not sign into her account, JAWS actually crashed. So if it doesn't complete that sign-in process, you will not be able to use JAWS. So if you have another version of JAWS on your computer and it crashes because you were not able to sign into that account right away or something happened, make sure to use that. Or if you have to use Narrator or NVDA in order to do that, you can do that as well. But just keep in mind that it will not work until you sign in. You can actually give it more time. So if you need another hour, if you're trying to create an account and you're having problems, you can actually give it more time before it actually goes crazy and crashes on you. So just be aware of that. That's the first thing that I wanted to talk about today, because that's the most important feature that you see right off the bat when you install JAWS. If you're having a problem installing JAWS with the account feature, and they've actually fixed this, you can actually go through the startup wizard and actually complete the registration process there as well. But you shouldn't have any further problems with creating an account. If you do, get a hold of tech support and make sure that they know what's going on with your specific issue, because this is a brand new feature, and I'm sure there's probably quite a few people that may have some problems with that. Before I go on, I just want to remind everybody that if you could hold all of your questions until the end of the presentation, we will call on you one by one, and you can unmute yourself so that we can answer your questions in the order that they came in. So now that we've talked about the accounts and we've talked about a little bit of a change in the installation, I want to actually start talking about some of the features that JAWS has that they've implemented. So before I do that, I'm going to share my screen.
Zoom in. If you are start application, maximize layout, content only one, share sound, select this option if you space check, select sharing, optimize for optimize, share Zoom windows, share screen button, enter.
In sharing meeting. JAWS Profession.
So my screen is now shared, and the first thing that I want to talk about is a little bit of a menu that you have now with your user account. And to access that, I'm going to press Alt-H for help. Now keep in mind this will only work if you're registered and signed in. So be sure that if you're following along with this, if you have created your account and you've signed in, this is the only time you'll see this menu. So I'm going to hit Alt-H for help.
Alt Command Search Insert Space J.
And I'm going to up arrow.
Check for updates. Refresh Stories button available. Click License and Account submenu.
So this says License and Account submenu. So if I right arrow,
Manage License submenu.
it says Manage License. So if you right arrow again, we'll see
Update Activation.
Update Activation. I have an SMA, Software Maintenance Agreement. So some of these things may look a little bit different.
Remove current activation.
We're not going to do that because if I do that, we're going to end up in 40-minute mode. So I'm going to press left arrow to get out of the Manage License submenu.
Manage License submenu. Manage Account Online.
So this says Manage Account Online. This is the other option that you have here. I'm going to press enter on this in 1 second, and I'm going to down arrow one more time before I do that.
Sign out.
So if I sign out of this account, someone could actually log in to this computer through JAWS with their account. And like I said before, one of the things that they're hoping to do, and I really hope they do this in previous updates, is have everybody's settings integrated into your account. So all of the things that you've saved in terms of speech and braille, theoretically what should happen, and it hasn't happened yet because I installed this on another computer and it didn't work yet. Hopefully they'll be able to all migrate into that account and you'll be able to store your preferences. So it's kind of like a cloud-based setting where you can actually sign in to your own account on someone else's machine and be able to do it that way. So now what I want to do is I'm going to up arrow to where it says View Account Online.
Manage Account Online.
And I'm going to press enter.
Leaving menus. Opening new tab. Loading page. Broadcast meeting. Zoom. Microsoft Edge. Broadcast meetings. Login.
It says login, so I'm going to have to log into this account, but I want to show you exactly what happens when we log into the website.
Email edit required. Enter. Log. Word. Oh, none. HP. Virtual PC. Password. Virtual PC.
And I'm going to go to sign in.
Sign in button. Sign in. We noticed you are using a G.
Now, the first thing that pops up here is we noticed you're using a Gmail account. So I'm going to up arrow again.
My products for spare navigation read link return list of one I Christopher button collapsed. My products for spare open navigation link return list of one Christopher button collapse list end.
Just scanning down the page just a little bit.
Navigation read main region heading level 1 my profile. View and edit information associated with this account. We noticed you are using a Gmail address. Link signing in with Google. Helps keep your account more secure. Email.
So what it's asking is, do I want to sign in with a Google account, which I can, and it says that it's doing it because of security reasons. So I'm not going to do that here, but if you, after you've created your account and you do have a Google Gmail address, you can actually log in through Google, so you don't have to go through all of this extraneous stuff with the profile right now, because it's popping up because it thinks for some reason that my account isn't as secure as it could be. I don't know why that's the case, but it's popping up with that security message. So if you, after you create your account, you can do that. Keep in mind though that if you've created your account and you're using a different password, it might change that slightly on you. So just be aware of that when you sign in via Google. I'm going to keep this page open though, because in a little bit there's a feature that I want to talk about that I'm going to get to in just a minute that helps with internet browsing a little bit. It is a new feature and an AI feature that I think is actually pretty cool, and it actually might help some of you that might have some difficulty navigating web pages. So just to recap, we've talked about creating a user account and the ability to sign in and at some point have your JAWS settings migrated. We've also talked about the importance of registering and making sure that you're signed into JAWS, because if you don't, you won't have the ability to do that. And we've also now talked about how to manage your account online. And remember, if you are using a Gmail address, it may prompt you to sign in via Google for more security. If you don't have a portal account, you will actually have to create a new account from scratch. But if you have an annual license, you won't have to worry about that. And if you have a portal account, if I were to arrow down this page a little more, you would actually see that information. But because I have a software maintenance agreement, that information is not present. The next feature that I want to talk about is called Page Explorer. This feature, and I'm probably going to stir some feathers when I talk about it a little bit more in a second, is something that makes it a little more simple to find out what's on a web page. You might be reading an article, and it's a long article, and one of those things you may have to read for a research project, or you're doing some homework on a subject, and it's a really, really complicated web page that you're trying to figure out. With Page Explorer, you can actually get it to tell you all of the attributes of a web page. And I'm going to go to YouTube, actually, as another website just to demonstrate this. But before I do that, I just want to caution you. If you have a home license of JAWS, this feature is not available to you. I don't know why they did this, but this feature is not available to those that have a home or annual license. So if you are interested in advocating and writing to Freedom Scientific and trying to request that this feature become available to those with an annual license, please be sure to do that, because we definitely want to make sure that you have access to all of those features. Because right now you don't. Right now you do not have access to those features at all. So that is something that we definitely want to make sure is the case, that you have access to that feature, because it's a great feature that we're going to talk about in just a second. And I'm going to go into YouTube now just to demonstrate this feature for all of you so that you have an idea of what the feature looks like. Because the page we're on right now will not allow me to do that. So I'm going to go to the address bar here in Edge.
My products, the Sparrow portal, and one more page. Double period Y-U-T-U-B-E period C-O-M. Enter. Loading page. Supports autocomplete. Supports autocomplete. YouTube Microsoft Edge. YouTube Microsoft Edge page. Unlabeled 2 but left pair and 60 right pair.
So we all know that YouTube is can be a very difficult website to navigate. And sometimes it might take us longer to find information. But with Page Explorer, we actually have the ability to get some information about the page. In order to access Page Explorer, you have to hold down the Shift key, the Insert key if you're using the desktop layout, or the Caps Lock key if you're using the laptop layout, and press the letter E. And you're going to hear some clicking in a second. There we go. Just takes a second. That's telling us that it's loading the summary of the web page and the attributes. It's taking a little bit longer than it should. I apologize. I think it might be my internet that I'm using. Just give it a second to load.
60 YouTube. Guide button. Failed to start Page Explorer.
It's failed to start Page Explorer.
60 YouTube
So
and 1.
let's see if we can get it to function.
$60 YouTube and 1.
Let's actually back out of
Alt
Edge
F4. JAWS Professional. Escape.
and go back into.
Task switching. Screen sharing. Zoom Workplace. Lunch today is pasta.
Let's go back into
JAWS.
Edge real quick.
Windows R. Run. Period. Enter. YouTube Microsoft Edge. YouTube Microsoft Edge page. YouTube 2 regions. 25 headings and 6 left parent. 60 right parent.
Let's see if we can get this to work successfully.
No edit boxes.
So the feature is
60 youth guide button.
being a little bit problematic at the moment. I'm going to try and get this to load again. So what's happening right now is it's trying to load Page Explorer, and it's attempting to pull up a summary of the website of YouTube. And this is AI, keep in mind, so it's not actually loading at the moment for some reason. So we're going to actually come back to this in just a second.
60 YouTube personal.
Just because I want to talk about a few other things.
Alt F5. Alt F4. JAWS
before we continue.
Lunch today is
have a
screen
problem.
sharing
So
meeting.
while that continues to click away and hopefully load Page Explorer at some point, I just want to reiterate that that particular feature, like I said, if you have a Homer annual license, is not available. So please be sure to advocate for this particular feature to be part of your licenses, because it is actually very, very useful. You can actually ask it questions about a web page. You can ask it a little more information about the web page, and it actually does a really, really good job being able to give you a summary from a very long article. But we're going to come back to that feature in just a few minutes, because I want to talk about some other things relating to this particular version of JAWS. So you may notice in JAWS 2026 that things read a little bit differently. And I'm going to go to the desktop
JAWS
just to demonstrate this a little bit. So I'm going to hit Windows D.
Windows D. Desktop list view. Microsoft Edge 9 of 33.
So you might notice a little bit of difference in reading about how JAWS is reading certain things. And that's one of the first things I noticed when I downloaded this update and installed it, is that JAWS is reading things just a little bit differently than it used to. And I'm kind of shocked because it hadn't been reading things the way it has been before. And I was a little bit thrown off guard when I heard it read the way it's reading the desktop for the first time. You also may notice some responses increased in JAWS performance as well. I have noticed that JAWS 2026 seems to be much, much faster than previous versions. I think they're trying to optimize performance with different products and make it much easier for us to navigate, and be a lot more productive, especially with the changing times. Because remember, Freedom Scientific has to constantly change with the times, change with how technology, software programs, internet pages, and everything else changes so much that we have to be as prepared as we can be. So that is one of the reasons why we see some different changes with Freedom Scientific and JAWS. And there are definitely changes that we are pretty appreciative of, and I can't thank them enough for all their hard work with that. I'm going to try Page Explorer in just a little while again, hopefully it'll work this time. I'm not sure what happened, and I apologize for that not functioning the way it has been. But I want to demonstrate another feature, something that you may also notice has changed. So if you go into a folder in either Windows Explorer or your C drive, you may notice that it says working on it when it's loading content. It doesn't do that anymore unless the message is displayed for more than a few seconds. So I'm going to go into the Documents folder.
Windows R, Run Dialog, DOCUMENTS, Enter. Documents, Items, View, Multi-Select List Box, working on it, not selected.
Now in this case, it said it because the message was displayed for too long. But they changed how JAWS reads those messages because they want to minimize speech. They want to minimize the clutter that JAWS is giving you in terms of how much extraneous speech that it's actually putting out. So unless that message is displayed for longer than a few seconds, it should not say that. Sometimes it does. It basically depends on how long that message is displayed for. So you may notice it saying it sometimes, and you may notice it not saying it sometimes. It just depends on how long that particular message is displayed for. And we definitely are glad that they have eliminated a lot of extraneous speech with these particular messages. Does anyone have any questions at all before we proceed? I know we were going to originally hold off questions to the end, but I just want to see right now if anyone has any questions before we go on.
Oh. JAWS Pro screen share lunch today. Zoom document. JAWS Pro screen sharing meeting control.
If you want to raise your hand and unmute yourself, please do so.
Yep. All right, cool. Can you hear me, Chris?
Yep, I can hear you.
Okay. So my question to you is that, first of all, I don't have JAWS. I'm a MacBook user, and I don't think
Stop share.
I
Expand
don't
screen.
think I can get
Currently on.
JAWS on my current MacBook. Can I?
You can if you boot camp it and use Windows.
Okay.
That's the only reason. That's the only way you can actually get
Oh, okay, cool. Because
JAWS on a Mac.
Because when I use VoiceOver on the MacBook Air, I believe it's called, I kind of find it a little bit complex. It's kind of hard for me to do VoiceOver with a MacBook. But what now are those what you just discussed for like bugs or like some of the glitches that you discussed? I mean, there are some glitches and bugs, but
there are some glitches and bugs, but Freedom Scientific has tried to work those out as much as they can. It just really depends on what the user experience is as well. They do beta testing for a lot of these features before they're released to the public. They used to do a public beta program, but they don't do that anymore. If you want to actually beta test anything, you actually have to be a private beta tester. Now, they've made it a little more difficult for you to actually beta test things. So just be aware of that. If you want to beta test any software features, you have to get a hold of Freedom Scientific and say, hey, I want to be a private beta tester with Freedom Scientific, because I'm doing the same thing or trying to do the same thing. And they ask you
a phone number on like the website, freedomscientific.com.
They do, and I can give you that information as well.
Yes, please do. That would.
Okay, we have Galisa Black has her hand raised.
Galisa?
Hi, how are you doing?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing well. I just loaded 2026 in on Tuesday, I think it was, or Wednesday. But I have a question on a couple of things. I was a little bit confused of when you mentioned logging in. that you have to log in to your JAWS. And so I have a portal. They help me get through the portal. So does that mean every time you open up JAWS, you got to log in, or what were you mentioning? And then the second thing was that there's some features I had in 2025 that are not, I don't have now in 2026 that I personally set up. Like it changed the sound of some of the features, like the editing in the form fields. I changed how it sounded, and some of the stuff is just gone.
So to answer your first part of the question, when you register and create an account, but because you have a portal account, you don't actually have to log in each time. When you click sign in, it will remember your information. So when you actually sign into that account, it will actually remember that username and password that you used to sign into the portal, and hopefully it will not log you out. In terms of your sound settings, it theoretically should have transferred all of that if it migrated your settings from 2025 to 2026. Sometimes when you're going from one version to the next, that does not happen. It can
Refresh stories button of it.
difficulty actually transferring settings over sometimes. We'll talk about that in a second, in a little bit, for some scripting related items for those of you that use scripts. But sometimes if you migrate settings, they may not transfer, so you may actually have to go remake those customizations again. And I can help you with that if you need that help eventually.
Okay. And just quickly, one more question. You mentioned that on a desktop, it said it did things differently. What was it that it was doing differently now in 2026?
Page Explorer is something you don't have because you have a annual license. So if you were loading a web page and you wanted to find out the summary of it with Shift Insert E, you can't do that because you have an annual license. So it'll yell at you and tell you, hey, you don't have this feature ability.
I think I was talking about when you went to Windows D, your desktop.
So Windows D,
and started talking, and you said it talks differently.
It reads things a little bit differently.
Windows D, desktop list view, Microsoft Edge, 9 of 33.
Okay.
So that's kind of a different change in JAWS 2026, is it's reading things a little bit differently, reading things a little bit better, I think, than 2025. It's more responsive, I think, than 2025 was, and performs so much better than 2025, in my opinion. And I haven't seen any crashes, really, actually.
Yeah, thank you.
Hey, Larry?
Yeah, I'm
And
just
please excuse the
wondering-
person walking around in the room there.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Yep, we can hear you.
Okay. So how do I get 2026? I have an annual home license, but do I get that automatically, or do I have to request it? How do I get 2026?
If you have the upgrades and you've renewed your license for a year,
Yeah.
and you go to Alt-H and check for updates, you
Okay.
will actually have gotten that particular update already.
Okay.
It'll probably have already prompted you automatically. If you've dismissed the notification, you can actually check for updates. So I'll just demonstrate that, even though I've actually installed the
Alt
update.
command search insert space.
So I'm
I
hitting
don't-
Alt.
Yeah, I don't recall receiving any notification. That's why I was wondering.
Check for updates.
Sometimes it will notify you, and sometimes it won't. I actually had to actually download the installation on my other computer because the update notification didn't pop up. If
You know, something we could do is
Menu bar,
actually,
help.
when we send out the
Hey,
resources, we could actually include a link to download it for those who haven't already had issues with it.
we can do
That
that,
might be
'cause
something to consider doing. I know, actually, this question came up when I went to go do it. I was told
Documents,
you can't
files,
do it
storage.
through the check for updates. You actually have to do it
JAWS
through
professional. JAWS.
through the actual manual download. So that's something to put a link in for.
so I will put that in the resource documents. when I send this presentation
Documents,
material out.
screen sharing.
So sometimes, like I said, you may get the notification, you may not. It just depends on what happens. If you dismiss the notification, and this is a bug that they need to fix, you may not be able to check for updates successfully again. I tried it and dismissed the notification when it popped up, and then I ran into a problem where I had to actually download it, believe it or not, on my laptop because it was not working with the check for updates feature. So you may run into that problem. I don't know if that's a problem that they're trying to fix or what they're trying to do or what they're going to do to actually fix that problem.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, last question, Darlene.
Hi, I had a question. It's kind of odd, but two of them for JAWS. Is it just for people that are visually impaired, or is it for like people like myself that have migraines and dyslexia that it could help? And the other thing is to these upgrades with 2026, like for people that work in government, could it help them, or do you have to have like a personal account, or do you have to get like a business account for that for people who work in government?
JAWS is primarily for totally blind individuals. If you have no vision, but if you have some and you need something, you could use Fusion, which is actually the other product that actually combines magnification and speech and makes it easier to use it that way. And in terms of the upgrades, if you have a government, if you're working for the government, it might be a little more difficult to get those upgrades because the government sometimes doesn't update their software right away. You may be a version or two behind. They may update it later, but you may run into a problem if you're really wanting that update in the office and you can't get it. Some companies are really, really good about getting those updates out, and some aren't, but the federal government sometimes, like I said, is a little bit farther behind. In terms of JAWS, I think the IRS, for example, finally upgraded to JAWS 2025. I believe a couple of years ago, I knew someone that actually used to work for the IRS, and he said that they finally upgraded to one of the later versions, but it takes them a while. So if you work for the government, be patient with them because you may not get those updates right away. And unfortunately, because you're on a network account, even not just in the federal government, but and a network in general, you may have other restrictions. So certain things may or may not work successfully without admin rights, so you may not be able to do it at all.
Thank you so much. I'm just trying to help advocate for an individual I know that's next year. He's going to be working for a city government in my municipality, and he's totally visually impaired 100%. So I want to help advocate for him so that he can have the best opportunity to help us.
City government might be a little bit easier, although I can't necessarily guarantee it. It just depends on how, I guess, willing your IT department is to help out there. I don't know, like I said, how willing they may be, but you might have a little bit easier luck with city government than federal government.
Space. Screen sharing me audio unmute. Audio unmute. Space.
Any other questions before we talk about some other features?
Space. Task switching. All command search inserts leaving menus. JAWS 2026 help con F6.
I have something to add, but it's not a question though.
Page AI modern script compiler now the AI labeler now enabled. Task switching. JAWS Pro space. Screen sharing me space.
Can you hear
me? Go
me?
ahead, Anthony. Yep.
Audio mute. Currently unmute.
Go ahead.
So all I have to say right now is that since you said it finally, whoever updated to JAWS 2025, I don't remember who was speaking, but since you said that finally happened, wow, that must have taken forever. Since they're working for like a city government, I think that might be the best thing because, like you said, the federal government. If the federal government doesn't have JAWS, if they have JAWS, it might be a little bit weird. It might take a while to update to either JAWS 2025 or 2026. But if I have like I said, I have a MacBook, right? So would I be able to sign into a Portal account or a Google? Since I have linked my Google to my iCloud.
Because you don't have Windows,
Don't.
it's a little bit of a different situation. So you would have to, like I said, boot camp your computer and put Windows on it.
How would I be able to
That's
do
a whole nother scope that's a little bit outside this presentation.
Oh, I mean, yeah, I could do that, but I don't know how.
Yeah, that's a little bit outside of my wheelhouse. But are there any other questions before we talk about some of the other features that I want to talk about for this presentation?
Larry's hand is up again.
Larry, I have my alerts turned off, so it's a little. I can't see whose hands are up right now.
Oh, his hand is lowered. Okay.
Any other questions?
All right, continue, Chris. Great job so far.
So there's a few other features that I want to talk about. But before I do that, I want to talk about individuals that may be using scripts. If you are on this presentation right now and you're either running the Zoom scripts for JAWS or you're running the Station Playlist Studio scripts or any other scripts that have been written recently or in the past few years for JAWS, because of how JAWS handles certain things now, scripts have actually had to be rewritten. The prime example is the Zoom scripts. And these scripts are made by Brian Harchin. And when JAWS 2026 was being talked about, discussed, and before its release, there was a lot of talk going back and forth about needing to rewrite the scripts because of how JAWS reads certain things. So if you are a script user and you have not upgraded your scripts for either Zoom or Station Playlist Studio or any of those products that you're using, be sure to do that, because they're not going to work very well with the current version of JAWS because of how things are rewritten. It may misread things, it may not function right, and it's always a good idea to make sure that you upgrade your scripts before purchasing the JAWS and license, or if you've not upgraded yet. They've actually made some changes in terms of script purchase as well. Some of them are annual now. They used to be where you could get support for quite a while. And because, as I said before, the times are changing and how JAWS is being written in some cases to keep up with those times are changing as well. So we definitely want to make sure that if, like I said, if you have scripts that you've purchased, make sure you get those upgrades before you get that new version, because things may not read correctly. If you try and install an older version of the scripts, you're going to get a bunch of gibberish. So I just want to make all of you aware that if you're running those scripts, make sure you get those newer versions of the scripts before you put 2026 on your machine, especially how different it's behaving in certain cases.
JAWS 2020.
There's a couple features that I'm going to talk about that I'm actually going to have the computer read, because this is actually a program that I do not use, and one that I frankly never heard of before until I had to look it up. I'm going to navigate down the page with the letter H.
Modern Script Compiler, now the default for compiling scripts, heading level 2.
So I'm going to actually hit insert down arrow just to have it read some information, because this is something that I don't use. This is called Modern Script Compiler. So for those of you that are actually interested in writing scripts or writing anything relating to JAWS, this will help you out a little bit. So I'm actually going to have JAWS read this, because this is something that I do not use.
Heading Level 2 Modern Script Compiler. Now the default for compiling scripts. The Modern Script Compiler is now the standard for JAWS 2026 scripts, paving the way for future improvements to the scripting language. While its primary new feature right now is the ability to write clear, logical expressions for accessing nested collections, it also sets the foundation for upcoming enhancements. For instance, you can now use code like var collection protocols equals collection or array from SON file.
So just a bit of a summary there. It's basically saying that this particular way of script managing and writing them is the default. And as I said before, that's another reason why Freedom Scientific and all of those script writers had to figure out, hey, how are we going to do this? What are we going to do to make sure that things work? So like I said, if you're a coding person and you're interested in JAWS scripts, that is what's happening now in terms of the scripts going forward. And this is something that is way outside of my wheelhouse. I'd like to learn how to do it, but I know it requires a lot of patience and time. So if you have that patience and you are interested in learning those scripts, that is the default method that you're going to use now. And we are going to take a look at the Page Explorer, hopefully again, if it'll actually behave itself and load this time. So let's hit the letter H now to go to the next field.
New Java Swing support enabled by default. Heading Level 2.
So this deals a little bit more with HTML. This is Java Swing support. I'm going to have it read a bit of a summary here, and then I'll talk a little more about it.
Heading Level 2. New Java Swing support enabled by default with JAWS 2026. Improved Java Swing support is now the standard experience for users. Java applications using Swing components function just like traditional Windows programs, offering seamless PC cursor navigation and familiar control types. This default enhancement simplifies scripting, allowing JAWS scripts to be directly connected to Java applications by name. For those who may need compatibility with the older Java Access Bridge method, JAWS 2026 includes a setting in Settings Center under Miscellaneous within the default application settings. By unchecking improved Java Swing support and restarting JAWS, users can revert to legacy support as required.
So this is a little bit about internet and how things link together with scripting. So a little bit outside of my wheelhouse, but something to also be aware of. One thing that I want to mention is I was thinking and hoping that there was going to be a little more to this version. There's not as much to this version as I thought there was going to be. I thought there was going to be a whole host of other things that we would see, especially with AI. They talked about it, but maybe they're coming in future updates. I'm going to hit the letter H again.
ARIA and Web. Heading Level 2.
ARIA and Web. So this next section talks a little bit about how things perform on the internet. So I'm going to hit insert down arrow again to do a say all.
Heading Level 2 ARIA and Web. List of 8 items. Bullet JAWS now offers the ability to move directly to math elements on web pages. To use this feature, you can assign a keystroke using the Navigation Quick Key Manager accessed through the Run JAWS Manager dialog. Insert F2. Bullet in Google Chrome. Improved JAWS performance when navigating between cells in very large tables. Bullet JAWS now re-speaks.
So what it's doing now is it's kind of giving you the corrections it's made. And have any of you noticed that when you get to the end of the What's New section, for those of you that read that, it gives you those corrections and updates and fixes that it's trying to do. Similarly to what we were talking about with what it said when it was said working on it, when it said that it eliminates extraneous speech when you're loading a very large folder, and in this case it was my documents folder, which is really large and it takes forever to load itself, but it's not supposed to pop that message up, and you're going to see this in a little while again when we get down this page a little bit.
LibreOffice. Heading Level 2.
LibreOffice.
And LibreOffice.
I had to Google this because this is a program that I don't use, and if anyone uses it, let me know, but it is an open source word processing program that I have never used. I've only used Office, Microsoft Office, but this is actually an open source program that you can use that does all of what Office can do and offers a little bit more flexibility. So because I don't use this program, I'm actually going to have JAWS tell you a little bit about it and just give you a bit of a summary.
Heading Level 2 LibreOffice. List of 5 items. Bullet JAWS now indicates misspelled words in LibreOffice Writer. Bullet JAWS now reads using speech and braille in the LibreOffice Writer spell check dialog that is displayed when pressing F7. Bullet JAWS now indicates when text in a LibreOffice document contains a heading style. Bullet JAWS no longer refresh stories button available. Click to refresh stories longer. Bullet JAWS no longer causes LibreOffice Calc to close unexpectedly when inserting a sheet or launching certain versions of the application. Bullet when using Control Page up or Page down to move between sheets in a workbook in LibreOffice Calc. JAWS now reads the sheet title, list ends heading level Braille.
So that is, like I said, the open source word processing program that I have never heard of, and I had to Google it because I had absolutely no idea what it is. Most of us use Microsoft Office products, but this program is open source and can do pretty much what Word can, which I might have to try that program out, but if anybody else has any experience, definitely let me know, because I'd be curious to find out if anyone has had any difficulty or any luck actually using that program, and what your thoughts are.
Other heading level 2.
So we get to Braille, and there's only 2
Braille heading level 2
features that have changed, so I'm going to talk about these very briefly.
List of 2 items. Bullet the Libluist Braille translator used by JAWS and Fusion has been updated to version 3.35.0. Bullet added JAWS Braille and trademark support for the Braille emotion display from Selvas BLV. To use Braille and commands from the Braille emotion, the display must be connected using Braille HID.
And now we get to other. And that is how they always end this. They always end it with other, with the exception of some other things that they're going to talk about.
Other heading level 2. List of 3 items. Bullet when opening a folder in File Explorer, an item called Working on it is displayed until Windows has populated the files list. To remove excess speech, JAWS no longer speaks the Working on it message unless it is displayed for more than half a second.
So we just talked about that a little while ago in the presentation. If it's displayed for more than half a second, then it will say that message. So if you're loading a large folder that's got music in it or other material, movies or anything, it will actually display that message.
Bullet removed extraneous speech that was heard while navigating standard Windows dialogues.
So it's also talking here too about removing extraneous speech. So we've probably noticed that as we've been navigating through JAWS 2026 ever since it's come out, that it's removing some extraneous speech, not talking so much when it's navigating through certain things, and I've noticed that feature quite a lot, actually.
Bullet JAWS no longer double speaks prompts and dialog boxes containing edit fields that are generated using JAWS scripts. List end.
So, like I said, I thought there were going to be more features with this update. There are key features, but keep in mind this is the first update of JAWS 2026. As time goes on, and I'm sure all of you know this, and you can always check the What's New features, they introduce new features all the time. This is the first update. We'll probably see another one in a couple of months addressing some new things, but this is the first one. And I was really, really hoping that Freedom Scientific was going to make this a little more comprehensive, because remember in 2024 and 2025, when we did those workshops previously, we had a little more of a feature base to go off of. But I think what Freedom Scientific was trying to do was start the process of AI, implementing AI. And I think that may be why we don't see certain things taking place as quickly as we would like. There's one more feature that I want to talk about, and that's what happens when you press Insert G.
Could not label the current type of control.
So, because we're on a very small web page, what's supposed to happen is if this actually encounters an inaccessible button or control, it will actually pop up with an ability for you to save that control using AI. So this is another thing that they're doing. They're allowing you to label graphics that are inaccessible with AI. So you can do that. So far, you have 2 AI options. You have Page Explorer, and you also have the AI version of the graphics labeler if you need to label an inaccessible control on a website. But most of the sites we go to are hopefully accessible, but sometimes these days it's a little bit difficult to figure out. But I just want to make all of you aware that sometimes we may not see as many features and updates, like this update, for example. 2024, as I said earlier, in 2025, we saw so many different things. But, and this goes back to what I was talking about with the advocacy for the Page Explorer to be included in licenses. I think this is a situation where we have to tell Freedom Scientific, because they've changed so many things, put some more in here. And we may see that down the road too. But especially the Page Explorer feature. If you want that as part of your license, and I know I said this earlier, make sure to advocate for it. If you need our help, please make sure to ask us. Let us know so that we can get a hold of them and say, so-and-so has an annual license but doesn't have the feature. What can you do to add that feature? Because this is a very useful feature that allows you to make a summary of a website. And we're going to try it one more time here, and hopefully it'll actually work.
JAWS.
I don't know if it's going to this
Windows
time.
R.
I'm going to go back to YouTube again.
Period. Wow. O-M. Enter. Desktop. YouTube Microsoft Edge. YouTube Microsoft Edge page. YouTube. 1 left parent, 61 right parent.
So I'm going to hit
Two regions left.
Insert Shift E and see if this works. You'll hear the clicking noises again. Hopefully it'll load this time.
Escape.
Well,
JAWS Professional.
This might be Murphy's
Task
Law
switching,
today,
61
unfortunately. But what's going to happen when you actually load this feature is you can actually ask it via AI, what's on this page? What exists here on this page? Can you give me a summary of this page? And it's either Insert Shift E or Caps Lock Shift
Failed to
E.
start page.
And this feature, for some reason, is not behaving itself today. But
JAWS 20 screen sharing meeting.
That is what's new in JAWS 2026. And like I said, there are some things that I wish they had done better. They did not include as many things as I thought they were going to. One of the things, like I said, we got hyped up on was AI. And I don't know what they have in the works for upcoming updates. But if you want to become a beta tester, a private beta tester, get a hold of them. Because that's the only way that we're going to know, if you want to know, what features they're working on. It's a very difficult process to become a private beta tester. I'm actually undergoing that process right now. You actually have to fill out an application. Then you actually have to be accepted to become a private beta tester. So if that's something you want to do to get some insight as to what they're doing behind the scenes, because they've changed a lot of different things, and I think they're not being as forthcoming with information as they used to be, please sign up to be a private beta tester, because you'll get a lot of information about different things, be able to test things, be able to test bugs that they're working on in certain features, and be able to give them that feedback. And I think the more of us start doing that and saying, this doesn't work correctly, we might actually get a better result from Freedom Scientific. So I think they're taking a much different route than they have in the past, and I see the changes here in JAWS 2026 that I'm not really happy with in terms of what's going on with that. Does anyone have general questions? Anything that you may need clarification on? Anything that you want to be re-explained? Or any questions in general about JAWS that you may not have gotten answered or may need clarified?
Sure.
Lisa?
Yeah.
Go ahead, I can hear you.
I yesterday was working with
Audio
somebody,
mute currently space.
and there were two things that we noticed. First, when I went into Google to type in a web page address, it wasn't saying typing.
The time is 7 o'clock p.m.
Was it not reading something correctly?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't like like for instance, I will go up to the address line and trying to stop. I was trying to type Google to go to actually Google. And I started hitting the G, the O, and it wasn't saying anything. It was just going down the list of previous websites I had been to. And then also, when I was in Microsoft Word, we tried to do insert the to make the Word document like a web page where you can go to different headers or different things. That didn't work. And as I was reading an email through Outlook, it was like saying the words, but then it say grammar. And I'm like, what's this grammar thing?
What it's doing is it's giving you your mistakes that you've made, or the mistakes that the person has made in the email. And JAWS is saying, these are what mistakes this person made when they're, making mistakes and actually not using good grammar, because sometimes I do that. And it will actually point that out to you. It will say grammar, and it will say whatever it is, and it will try to offer you a suggestion as to what it thinks you want it to use. Have you noticed that, where it'll try and offer you a suggestion? Has it done that to you?
I was just so confused with the saying grammar. I was trying to stop it because I was trying to listen to what was written, and it was just confusing.
So that's a setting you can actually turn off.
Yep. And I can help you with that as well. So there is a setting in there that you can actually turn off so it doesn't do that. If you want to get with me at some point, I can show you how to do that so that it doesn't do that. And in terms of your loading a website, it'll try to auto-populate sometimes based upon what you're going to, because it keeps a record of your recently visited website. So I'm going to go to Edge real quick.
Windows M. 6 Windows M. Desktop list view. Microsoft Edge. 9 of enter. Opening new window. Address and
I'll go to
www period gmail.com.
See, it's doing it here too. You hear that? It's saying. So I didn't even actually enter a website. I just entered the address. So now.
So it automatically auto-completed.
Anthony, please me.
So you have you can turn that setting off as well with the auto suggestions. It's your browser doing it.
Online banking and Google W inbox 11. Google W.
So you can either up or down arrow, but you can actually continue to type this in here as well. So I'm going to do this again.
Control L.
If I can get it. So I'll type.
G-O. Here's O-M. Enter. Loading.
So you kind of have to.
This site.
You kind of have to beat the auto suggestions and type quickly if you want to get past those, because otherwise it's going to suggest a bunch of websites to you. But you can actually turn that off. And like I said, I can work with you if you want me to and help you with some of this stuff offline. We can set some time up and figure all of that out too. But it's giving you auto suggestions about what it thinks you want to go to, and it did it with me too. So you have to beat.
Alt F4, Google Micro.
You have to literally beat what it's typing, because if you don't, it'll actually prompt you with all of those settings.
Okay.
And we're going to go with somebody who has not asked a question yet. Mary?
Task switching, Google.
Hello.
Hello, Mary. How are you?
No, first off, the Libra thing, that's the old Open Office that got canceled. And then they redid, picked it up. Somebody picked it up and redid it, and that will now open, what is it, 365. It'll open modern Word documents. Because before it was the Open, because I know somebody who installed the old Open Office using, what is it, DBT files.
Oh, geez.
And nobody could open it. And I said, "Oh God, I've got to go in and change that. That'd be terrible." So I told her, I said, "Download this, and it's an updated version, and that's Libre. It's an updated version. It's sort of like, remember that GPS system that they canceled and then redid again?
Mm-hmm.
It's the same situation."
So thank you, Mary, for providing that little bit of information.
Oh, and also a bit of information. When I went to go to this, in my Google Calendar, it created a actual, instead of going to Zoom, it went to my location, literally.
Really?
It opened maps.
Scary.
That's not good.
That's not good. I just went in and registered again is all I did. I just went in and went in my thing and re-registered. Good thing Brandon sent it out this morning. Otherwise I'd had to search for it.
That'll be $5 extra.
But thank you, Mary, for providing that little piece of info, because I had no idea what that program was. And it's not, I've never heheard of it until
I have.
Oh, that was years ago. That open office was done years ago. We used to get that because they would go, "I can't afford that," especially when Microsoft was, said you had to buy their stuff. That's when open office really came into it, its own, so to speak.
Now they charge you $10 a month for it.
That's funny.
Yep. But
that's crazy. Anyway.
Thanks, Mary, for that information.
You're welcome.
We definitely appreciate it.
Always a wealth of knowledge, Jean.
Hi, I have a couple questions. I'm a little confused. I haven't installed 2026 yet. I've been putting it off because I just don't like to do stuff like that. But anyway, I have an SMA that's, I think it's good for like 2 years. And so when I go to install it, and it says to enter something about my account or create an account, do I just like go past that and put my license in, or how does that work? I'm not sure I totally understand.
So when you install JAWS from the beginning, it will, right before, when your computer reboots and it does all of that, work behind the scenes.
Yep.
When it comes back up, then it will actually say, you have an hour to do this, and you actually will get presented with a web page where you actually have to sign in. And because you're an SMA holder like I am, you actually have to create an account if you don't have one.
Oh,
so
brother.
It will pop up. Yeah, it'll pop up with a web portal and say, if you can already sign. You can either sign into the account itself, or you can create a new one. And there's a link. It's a very small website that has the create an account and sign in. I can't do that because I'm already signed into mine, and I don't know if JAWS would crash if I signed out. But if you need help, let me know. I'll provide my contact information at the end of this, and I can walk you through it either through Tandem or some other way.
So to create an account, do I need to create a password and all that stuff?
Yep, you do.
Oh,
you literally have to give your life to them.
And that's something that you only sign into once. When
yes.
when you open JAWS, you sign in one time, and then it keeps it. And of course, if you get a new computer, you just have to remember your password.
Yeah.
For the account. Or of course, you could say forgot password, and then
I do have a problem with remembering passwords. Yes.
That's okay. So do
I write
think
them down and then I change them, and I don't remember which one is the right one.
I think everybody in this call has the same issue.
Yep. Another thing that was interesting that happened was for a couple of weeks I kept getting notices saying, "Do you want to install updates?" And I would say yes, and then it would come back and say, "You don't have any updates." So that must have been, I don't know, was that trying to get me to do 26 or something, telling me there's no more updates for 25. I didn't really understand what was going on with that.
It might be. Is your SMA current?
Yeah, I just renewed it.
So, if you renewed it recently, you should have the upgrades for 2026 and 2027 if you're running on a 2-year plan. It really depends. I know that the older version, 2025, stopped getting updates on October 31st.
Yeah, I renewed mine in, I don't know, I still have it written down someplace. It was in October, early October.
You should be fine then. I mean, worst case scenario, you can if it doesn't let you update through check for updates, you can always download that manually, and I'll put the link in the resources.
So I just go to the end. I mean, I do I have to go to the website to find the updates? How do I get to it?
freedomscientific.com/downloads.
Okay.
And Chris is actually going to, when you get you'll get another email since you registered. Chris is going to send an email out in the morning with the YouTube link as well as the link to actually download JAWS as well as any other resources he may have for anything we've discussed today.
Okay, and then one other quick question. With 20, I use a Braille display all the time. I use speech only when I absolutely have to. But I have an 80 cell focus. So
those are nice.
I love them. So so occasionally I get something, a newsletter or something that, like I got one last week, and when I tried to open it, it totally locked JAWS up.
Ooh.
Does 2026 fix that kind of stuff?
I haven't seen it crash yet.
It did it to me 6 times today.
Oh, that's not
gosh.
good.
But I don't think it's JAWS. I think it's my computer that's doing it because I'm having meltdown problems on my computer. But JAWS is known to crash still with, I think it depends too on what your computer's process power is, what its resources are. That's what I think makes JAWS crash in the first place. Because JAWS is a system hog in and of itself.
It is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's so weird because I never had the problem until like a month or two ago.
That's strange.
It is very strange. And I just updated to Windows 11.
That could be. You know what it is? This computer too is the same thing. It's a new Windows 11 import. So it's probably like, yeah, why'd you do this to me?
This one is too, but like Brandon said, JAWS is a resource hog. So
but you've got more power than most of us on yours because you've got higher memory on yours, so that's why.
So, if you don't have higher specs, you may notice issues. You may see different problems happening. JAWS may say bye-bye.
Did.
And
because I had somebody look at it and they could see it in print, but it totally, I had to actually shut the computer down and reboot it. I couldn't get it to do anything. Couldn't get JAWS to do anything.
That's worse.
Anyway.
But just be aware of that. If anyone's planning on upgrading, you may have problems right off. You may have problems sometimes. You may not. If you're nervous about upgrading to a newer version of JAWS right away, you don't have to do it now. You can wait a little while, but it's the same thing with any software, whether it's JAWS, whether it's iOS. You don't have to upgrade immediately to that particular version. If you want to wait a couple of months before the next update comes out or subsequent updates, you can do that. They're not forcing you to, upgrade to that version, but
then you figure you paid for it, you might as well do it
exactly.
at some point. But maybe I'll wait until all the bugs are out of it, or more of the bugs are out of it.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Like I said, this version's been out about a month now, so we may see more stability. We may see more bugs, but they may fix things. They may break things. It all depends on what happens.
Right.
And as far as the bugs, squish them.
And that's why if you guys are interested in becoming private beta testers, do it, because you can give them feedback on things that they're going to release and say this doesn't work, because they do it under a different setting where you give them certain information about a certain product or certain thing that they're trying to test. And that's why I'm looking into doing it, because I can give them that information successfully without screwing up my own license at the same time.
Okay. All right. Thanks a lot.
Anthony?
Wow. That was interesting, though. The LibreOffice, I have to say, I've never used JAWS 26, but wow. I think the way you were looking into that, Chris,
Audio mute. Space.
is very.
Stop share meeting direct.
I
More
think
button. Show
another
meeting. Show
thing
more button.
is
Show Slack
the
annotate.
way it
Press to open. Press annotate.
articulates
Slash
certain
more
things,
meeting.
right?
Stop share. Expands. Unmute. Audio. Unmute. Current space.
So when you use the, what is it, insert and then down arrow, right? You said?
Yep.
Insert down arrow. I was like, wow, this is very articulate. This summary is very, very well written and articulate, you know?
They put a lot of effort into making sure that we know what's in those programs, and that's because, like I said, I don't use that program and never heard of it, never played with it.
No, neither do I. I've never heard of it either.
I had Jaws read that summary, and Mary, you just gave us some knowledge about that, so we definitely thank you for that. Does anyone else have any other questions that you need clarification on? Anything that we can re-explain? Anything that can be clarified again? Or anything that any nervousness you may have to upgrading to this particular version after what you've heard during this presentation?
Yeah, so in order for you to become a beta tester, right? You said you had to go to freedomscientific.com/downloads.
That's for the software, but
Anthony, if you don't have JAWS, you can't become a beta tester,
Nope.
just so you're aware.
There's two more people with hands raised. Did you get to them already or not? I don't recall.
Galisa and Jean, did you have your hands raised from before, or did you have additional questions?
No, it was raised from before. I forgot to lower it.
Oh, that's fine.
Thank you.
4, 2.
Okay.
Thanks.
Anything else?
Going once, going twice, and sold.
Galisa again.
Nothing.
Galisa?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Did you call my name?
You had your hand up still, or is it down?
Alt U. Participate. Escape.
I didn't put. I said it was up before.
It must have gone back up. Okay.
We have Mary, and then we also have Anthony.
Mary and then Anthony.
And we are at the 817 point.
Hello.
Hello, she crochets and
again.
she has knowledge.
Yes. Good things to have.
I forgot what I was gonna do. I remembered what I was gonna do, and now I've forgotten it again.
Oh boy, that's not good.
That's not good. Freedom Scientific did put out a whole hour-long presentation on doing the what do you call it? Creating the account.
Yep.
And that should be up relatively soon if anybody, needs a crash course in seeing the full version of what you
I think they
just
had
did.
that maybe a week or so ago.
Yeah.
So check it out.
I saw almost all of it.
Mm-hmm.
So they even had issues with it because they were trying to figure out about some of the, the poor people who are like on enterprise stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, do I have to do it? Does it have to? She's like, they were like, we have to get back to you on that. So
see, that's the thing.
Them.
You guys, we're finding out that we don't. They're not sure of certain things going on. So there's a lot of changes taking place, and I don't like how things are being managed. I'm not trying to complain about Freedom Scientific because I'm not, but there are certain things that are taking place that aren't good, and this might possibly require advocacy to make sure that they know what they're talking about. Now, just be aware that this happens with us. So if we see changes like that, if we're watching a podcast and they're not able to answer those questions, we need to follow up and make sure that they eventually figure it out, because it doesn't look good on them as a company. And what was your thoughts, Mary, I guess, when you...
Well, like I said, when they said you only had to do it once, it kind of made me go, because I'm a portal user, so I already have an account.
Yep,
so
you do.
I'm like, yay! No, but they were, they said they were, so by the time it comes out and they have a resource page with it, they're going to have all the things answered, I would think.
I hope so.
You know?
And if they don't, they put a resource page together for nothing.
Exactly.
Well, somebody said they said they were trying to create the account so they could transfer everybody in the same place. Like all the account people, everybody has an account, therefore everybody's in the same place and they can deal with everybody easier.
I think this is going to take a while. And what kind of logic is that supposed to be?
Thank you.
Well, I mean,
anyway,
with Visparo, with Freedom Scientific, all the enterprise and everything else,
I get
everywhere.
the idea. They're trying to put everything into one thing, but
not going to be easy.
Exactly.
No, it's becoming more of a headache.
And like anything else, it's going to take time to work.
It will, and that's one of the things. If you
have a headache like this, those will solve the problem.
One of the things, just to reiterate, this workshop is not just about what's new with JAWS. It's also about, and this is kind of just an idea that popped into my head too. What issues may you be having when you're installing JAWS, if you're having a problem with a feature that you can get your questions answered for?
Control-N.
If that makes any sense. So,
screen sharing.
It's not just about what's new with JAWS. It's are you having a problem with an account, or have you done this before? And like I said, this is just an impromptu idea that came to my mind a few minutes ago when some of you were asking those questions. Ask those questions, especially because we don't have as many features, but we can talk about these things. Doesn't necessarily need to be a whole tech lesson, but we as other JAWS users can talk about these things and figure this out, and have a discussion, as it were, about things that we're noticing.
And even non-JAWS users that want to help us advocate for better changes with this, because it's a mess right now.
So, I mean, if you're not a JAWS user and you want to help us advocate, go for it. You can email Freedom Scientific and or post on their social media and say, hey, I was just at this workshop and others were having problems with X, Y, and Z. Help us advocate for those changes.
If you want to see them.
If you want to see them. But like I said, this is not just about the software features. This is about, and I may change the name of this workshop next year, keeping it with the same flow, but a little bit different. We can talk about what problems you may be having with the new version, like we've been doing for a little while, because of the fact that there weren't as many features as we were hoping for.
Anthony.
Any other questions or any other points that anyone wants to bring up that's installed this update and is having issues, or anything that you've noticed so far, other than what we've talked about?
Do I still have my hand up?
Yeah.
Okay. I thought I did. But anyway, what if I am a JAWS user? What do I got to do?
If you're a JAWS user and you're having problems, get a hold of the company and complain. That's all we can do is say, hey, there's a problem with this. Call tech support, let them know, and let them know what's going on.
Will they help with issues signing?
Join the meeting.
Tech support is supposed to help you with those issues.
Okay.
Or I can assist anyone that needs help via JAWS Tandem or remote incident manager, even though JAWS Tandem lately for some reason has been iffy, but it's probably on someone else's end. So there's multiple ways to do things, if that makes any sense. And that's what I'm here for. I'm here to not just provide this information, but also be a resource as well.
And as an assistive technology instructor, remember, Chris is really, really in a good space to assist people with anything that they need, with anything that they might want to know about, with relation to JAWS, or quite frankly, any assistive tech. So please feel free to reach out to him, and you and him can negotiate accordingly.
Yep, we'll do.
I'm going to, unless anyone wants anything else demonstrated, stop sharing my screen for the time being. Unless anyone
no one wants to see your screen.
So, like Brandon said, I'm here as a resource. I'm here to help anybody that needs assistance with whatever they may be having difficulty with. It's not just, presenting this information. And I have no problem working with you on JAWS Tandem, or if you're a remote incident manager user, using that to just give you an idea of what things you may be struggling with, and we can work through those things. So just be aware of that. That's what I'm here for. And I think, like I said before, I think we're going to change the structure of this workshop just a little bit, to not only demonstrating the features, but also opening it up to you, kind of like we've done twice throughout this workshop, for questions and answers, because I don't want it just to be me talking. I want it to be a little more... Sorry about that. My computer likes to talk randomly. Don't want it just to be me talking. I want it to be a little more interactive, like it has been this time. And this, like I said, some of this was formulating in my head as I was talking about things, so kind of completely improvised. But that's kind of where I want to see things go next year. Thank you.
On behalf of all of us here at ADAPT, Downstate New York ADAPT and Southern Minnesota ADAPT, I want to thank all of you for coming tonight to our special event, What's New Features and Accessibility Improvements, What's New in JAWS 2026. If you'd like to get a hold of us, you can do so. You can either email dnyadapt@gmail.com, or you can call our new phone number. Unfortunately, we had to get a new phone number, 631-855-9707. Or you can contact Chris, and he'll give you his contact information.
You can reach Southern Minnesota ADAPT by phone at 507-594-8779, or you can also email us at smnadapt@gmail.com. And I will, when I send out the resources, I will give you my contact information that has my email address and other information in it as well. So please reach out to me if you have questions. If you have something that you're struggling with, something you may need help with, don't hesitate to ask. I will work with you remotely, and we will definitely figure that out.
So thank you all for coming, everyone, and have a wonderful evening.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Good night.